As Nicole said, I'm Stephen Hallgren. I am the Chief Technology Officer of Simplecast. It's really an honor to stand up here. Simplecast has been around for about 6 years as a brand, but Brad Smith, the CEO, and myself acquired Simplecast about 3 years ago. And we were in the garage, I don't know how many months after it had opened, but we've been there for a long time and just love everything about the garage and Bull Moose. So we're going to talk. Simplecast is a podcast hosting, distribution, analytics company. How many here listen to podcasts? Okay, almost everybody. So what we're going to do real quick, podcasting has been around for 20 plus years. It is a very old technology in the world of technology. The technology behind it has barely changed. We're still using RSS, XML. It is an open delivery method. It is, I believe, one of the only medias that has not been locked down yet by some big conglomerate. And in 2005 is when the iPod hit the scene around there. And that is when podcasting got its name, hence the word iPod. And Apple's really owned that space for up till now. And it is within the past year, literally has become just exploded. Spotify released podcasts, I think, a couple months ago. Google Podcasts is now surfacing episodes in your search results. And all of that has really exploded. You can't really see this diagram on the side, but it's a little washed out. Microphone represents the podcast creator. The next square down represents the hosting. So a creator creates a podcast or an episode, they upload it somewhere. Hosting is one of the things that we do. The next step from there is distribution. That audio file, the RSS, the information needs to get somewhere to your app, whether you are an Apple user, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, or your own app of choice. Distribution is where it gets to the listener, who is you. And then the analytics, there are two arrows that connect that side, and the analytics go from the listener back to the creator. And so we basically focus solely on that middle part, how the creator gets it up to somewhere, how the creator gets it distributed to the listener, and then all the information that can be gleaned from the listener goes back to the podcast owner. So we'll go through hosting real quick. Our goal is to make it as simple as possible, as scalable as possible, meaning you could have 100 downloads or you could have multiple millions of downloads in a day, and our system will not care. We also want to make it cost effective. You can crunch the numbers, but if you had 1 million downloads and you were only using AWS's content delivery, you would be spending upwards in $4,000 a month just to deliver that audio. And then also global distribution. So the content needs to be global. With distribution, again, we focus on 3 of the big ones, which is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. They have 3 completely different and confusing methods. And so we help our creators figure out what they need to do. We walk them through the process. We tell them this is how you submit it to Apple Podcasts. This is how you submit it to Spotify. We will submit it to Google for you. And then everything else. There's hundreds of apps out there, so we help in that distribution. The core of what makes Simplecast unique is our analytics. There's a lot of hosting and there's a lot of distribution companies out there, but analytics is what is making the difference right now and why it's becoming extremely popular in the industry. So we have the standard metric is downloads. Basically, did you download a file? That's been common metric for 20 plus years. Very easy one. Except technology has changed, and so a download is not always a download. It could be a stream, it could be a progressive download. Somebody could get part of that audio file, somebody could get maybe a minute or the whole thing. And so what started to happen is basically companies are like, well, does a minute count as a download? Does 5 minutes count as a download? What does a show owner need to know? And then it creates confusion because every host wants to present the best numbers for their users. And so they could be saying, I'm going to count the least amount listened as a download, and you'll have great numbers. Enter IAB certification. So within the past year, again, the space is exploding. The Interactive Ad Bureau, I think I'm getting that right, released a set of guidelines, basically like this is what constitutes a download. And these guidelines are what advertisers, which is a huge way of a podcaster to make money, Interactive Ad Bureau, Advertising Bureau. And so basically they've created certification, and this has been key in the industry to essentially wrap everything around a common metric. And think of like Google Analytics. At one point, you could have 1,000 hits to your website, and that could have been your mom or your friend or somebody, and it looks awesome, but it's just 2 people. So this basically says, hey, you got 50 downloads, that's 50 people, and they actually listen to your episode 50 times. What's significant here, though, is there are only 9 hosting companies in existence right now out of 50 plus globally that are certified. Simplecast is one of those. And if you can see the list there, you may not recognize anything except NPR. But these are all the biggest players in the podcast hosting industry. And our name is up there as well. So this is huge. But what we're trying to do is go beyond the download. So there's a clear guideline of what download is, but we are going beyond that and introducing many other metrics that are important to a show owner. And that's I'm looking at my time here, and I don't have time to go into all that. And best in class, we have created what I would call one of the best things out there. So get started. Listen to podcasts. Lots of people listening here, it would seem. Definitely share your recommendations. That is probably the best way for somebody to discover a new podcast at this point. Discovery is terrible. Learn about podcasting. I'm sure there's a lot of people here who want to podcast, so learn about it. There's lots of resources out there.
What does SoundCloud and YouTube probably expect?
We'll get to you can and then start a podcast, which I will go. Oh, I got cut off. Or there we go. So starting a podcast, Troy Innovation Garage has just completed their podcasting studio with a ton of great equipment. I looked at the equipment the other day. It is actually really nice, better than what I have. So it's both personal, local, and you will get 15% off your hosting at Simplecast using a promo code that they'll give you for as many shows as you want for as long as you want. I'd highly recommend it if you're interested in getting started. And then we're going to put a stop there. Any questions? One question. Lucky guy over there.
So I guess my question is, there's a lot of, like you were talking about, there's a lot of, established podcast players in the world of podcasts right now. Would would your hosting service be a better alternative to ones like, say, Liberated Syndication, which myself and my friend use for our podcast, or would it, like, how would you set yours apart from the hosts that the larger people use?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say analytics, hands down. I would say user experience, maybe. Libsyn's been around. I think actually they're celebrating 15 years, and I personally feel like it kind of looks 15 years old, but that's just me. Like so, but I would say at the end of the day, you're talking about analytics and what you can get out of it versus how you're distributing it. Yeah.